Translation. After Mother Sita entered the earth, After Mother Sita entered the earth, Lord Ramachandra observed complete celibacy and performed an uninterrupted Agnihotra Yajna for 13,000 years. Text 19. Smaratam Hridi Vinyasya Vidham Dandaka Kantakai Svapada Pallavam Rama Atma Jyotir Agat Tata Smaratam Hridi Vinyasya Vidham Dandaka Kantakai Swapada Pallavam Rama Atma Jyotir Agatata. Report. The lotus feet of the Lord are always the subject matter for meditation for devotees. Sometimes when Lord Ramachandra wandered in the forest of Dandakaranya, thorns pricked his lotus feet. The devotees, upon thinking of this, would faint. The Lord does not feel pain or pleasure from any action or reaction of this material world. But the devotees cannot tolerate even the pricking of the Lord's lotus feet by a thorn. This was the attitude of the gopis when they thought of Krishna wandering in the forest with pebbles and grains and sand pricking his lotus feet. This tribulation in the heart of a devotee cannot be understood by karmis, jnanis or yogis. The devotees who could not tolerate even thinking of the Lord's lotus feet being pricked by a thorn were again put into tribulation by thinking of the Lord's disappearance. For the Lord had to return to his abode after finishing his pastimes in this material world. The word Atma Jyoti is significant. The Brahma Jyoti, which is greatly appreciated by jnanis or monastic philosophers who desire to enter it for liberation, is nothing but the rays of the Lord's body. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda koti kotishvashesha vasudhari vibhuti bhinnam tad brahma nishkalam anantam ashesha bhutam govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. It's the Brahma Samhita 540. The Brahma Jyoti is the beginning of the spiritual world, and beyond the Brahma Jyoti are the Vaikuntha planets. In other words, the Brahma Jyoti stays outside the Vaikuntha planets, just as the sunshine stays outside the sun. To enter the sun planet, one must go through the sunshine. Similarly, when the Lord or his devotees enter the Vaikuntha planets, they go through the Brahma Jyoti. The jnanis or monastic philosophers, because of their impersonal conception of the Lord, cannot enter the Vaikuntha planets, but they also cannot stay eternally in the Brahma Jyoti. Thus after some time, they fall again to this material world. Arya krichena param padam tata patantyadho nadrita yushmari angriyaha. Bhagavatam 10:232. The Vaikuntha planets are covered by the Brahma Jyoti, and therefore one cannot properly understand what those Vaikuntha planets are unless one is a pure devotee.
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This means absolute surrender. This is meaning surrender. So when we chant Hare Krishna, the idea is that when we put our hands up like this, it means that we're surrendering our life and soul and everything to Krishna. So there's some interesting points of discussion. Too bad I don't have my glasses, then I could refer to the text. But anyway, I'll try to remember what we just heard. I'm not a scholar, so I'm not going to be able to do much justice to Sanskrit slokas and as such, but you may remember, if you have read Ishopanishad, how it is mentioned, the devotee is praying that, my dear Lord, please remove this glaring effulgence, which actually is blinding our vision and disenabling us to see the beauty of your honeymoon-like face. Actually, Krishna has a very, very, very honeymoon-like face. It is not just a moon face. Sometimes he is called as Chandra Mukhi, like that. But he actually has a honey face, honeymoon face, full of sweetness and let's say, delightful beauty, which enchants the hearts of persons who are fortunate enough to have his darshan. So, Prabhupada has spent a considerable portion of this purport in, let's say, not exactly denouncing or decrying, but he wants to put the things in proper perspective with regard to the plight of the impersonalist who prefer to pursue spiritual life, let's see, as a matter of a kind of subtle self-gratification, primarily to become liberated from material existence, which they see as disadvantageous. So they think that God or the absolute truth is nirakar, that he is without any qualities, without any form, without any feelings, etc. And therefore they see, or let's say they have, as such, at best, the adhikar to have the access to Brahman realization, Brahmananda. But Brahmananda is compared to a drop of happiness in comparison to the ocean of happiness of Krishna Prema. So, Srila Prabhupada has pointed out in this purport how it is that Lord Ramachandra, after he finished his long-term sacrifice, that he returned to his own abode and wanted to make it very clear to all of us that Krishna does exist in his own abode, surrounded by his multifarious shaktis. Parasya Shakti Vividaiva Shruyate. The Lord has multifarious potencies, and as mentioned in Krishna book, that Krishna himself, although we've just described how he has a honeymoon face and how his face is enchanting and inspiring prema in the hearts of his devotees, but Prabhupada says that Krishna alone is not particularly very beautiful. He's not particularly very beautiful. But when he's surrounded by his Shaktis, primarily Srimati Radharani and her Sakhis, when the devotees in pursuit of Braja Bhakti will get the mercy of seeing Krishna in the Nikunja bowers of Braja, surrounded by his intimate lovers, then their bliss is incomparable. There's no, let's say, equivalent to the degree and intensity of transcendental happiness that the Brajvasis, primarily the gopis of Vrindavan, and the followers of the gopis experience in envisioning the transcendental sweetness of the inter-exchange of loving affairs between Krishna and his gopikas. So, as Prabhupada has mercifully brought us from the realm of Ram Lila into the realm of Braja, and to give expression Nitai Gaur Krsna Balaram ki Jai. He's brought us to the realm of Braja to give expression to the degree of intensity of Vipralamba Bhav, which is experienced by the Brajvasis in their relationship with Krishna. Actually, no other realm and no other form of devotion to Godhead is comparable to the love of the Brajvasis in the realm of Braja. The principle which has been discussed is referring to Lord Ramchandra's lotus feet being pricked in the forest of Dandakaranya. Mind you, this forest of Dandakaranya. It's nice that this is mentioned here in the Bhagavatam, because this helps to set the scene. Sometimes we wonder why it is that we're studying about Ram Lila and various other Leelas, but it helps to set the scene and helps us when we finally enter into the, discussions about Krishna's Braja Lila, and when we will have the opportunity to study deeply the Goswami's literatures, then just like in Hamsadutta, one book called Hamsadutta, there's mention of how Krishna is in reality the embodiment of all the Das Avataram, the 10 incarnations of Krishna. But in his own body, these different manifestations are presenting in accordance with the gopis' anxieties of feelings of separation of Krishna. I'm not able to go into the details here, but the principle here I'm discussing is that the whole Bhagavatam is like a you can say a golden ring which acts as a setting for the jewel or the diamond Chintamani jewel of the Braja Leelas. It is meant to show the super excellent nature of the Braja Leelas. So, in this Dandakaranya forest, it is told that at one time Lord Ramachandra happened upon these great rishis, sages. They're called the Dandakaranya rishis, and as a result of Lord Ramachandra's blessings, these Dandakaranya rishis became as the Munichari gopis in Braja, with the adhikar for entering into Maharas and dancing with Krishna for the night of Brahma and ever onward. Krishna dances rasa dance every night. Maharaj is, a less intimate form of Ras Leela, which is inclusive of the newcomers and various other groups of gopis. But in the more intimate Ras Leelas of Radha and Krishna, you will find that there are only the Sakhis of Radha and Krishna, and the Manjari gopis also. They're also, whether anyone wants to understand and accept the truth of this, but in reality, the maidservants of Radharani, they also can dance with Krishna in the rasa dance and do everything by the mercy of their Swamini. They can do everything for the pleasure of their Swamini. This is a very deep tattva. Some Vaishnavas and Babajis in Vrindavan, they will say that it is never possible, that it never happens. But the real truth is that it certainly does happen. But it will not be a selfish affair. It will be a completely selfless and self-giving transaction between Krishna and Radharani's maidservants, simply for the pleasure of Radha. There are two types of Kamanuga bhajan in the Raganuga line mentioned in Nectar of Devotion. Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion discusses it, so I guess I have a right to discuss it to a certain extent. That there's one type of Kamanuga Bhakti, which is called as Keli Parayana, Sambhog Ichchami, Sambhog Ichchamai Kamanuga Bhakti. And then there is what is called Tat Tad Bhavich Chatmika Kamanuga Bhakti. And they will be followers of respectively two types of gopis. The Sambhog Ichchamai, that means Ichcha means that they have desire for Sambhog. Sambhog is not to be pleased. Don't take the word in the mundane sense. The difference between prema and kama. Atmendriya priti vancha tale bale kam. Krishnendriya priti ichta dare premana. Prema is the selfless desire, self-giving desire to augment the pleasure of Krishna's senses. And kama is the selfish, self-gratifying desires for one's personal sense gratification. So when we speak of sambhog in the transcendental spiritual sense, it simply means that the gopis are going forward to meet with Krishna, to play with Krishna, to joke with Krishna, and to satisfy Krishna in a myriad of transcendentally cunning ways. So those who have desire for sambhog in their relationship with Krishna, they cultivate what is called as a kind of naika bhav. Naika, you understand? Naika means heroine. So as such, they follow in the footsteps of the Naikas, who are Nitya Parikar of Krishna, or eternal associates of Krishna. Now, those who are coming in the category as Tat-Tad Bhavits Chatmika, Raganuga Bhaktas, or Kamanuga Bhaktas. I think it's important to discuss this because, after all, at least to a certain extent, we can't go in depth in the public forum. But it is important to understand the principles not only of Sambandha Tattva. Sambandha Tattva Gyan is for the purpose of establishing Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. When we say Swayam Bhagavan, it means Brajendanandan Krishna, please. Swayam Rup Krishna. No one else is Swayam. Swayam means original. So the origin of all other manifestations of Krishna is Swayam Rup Krishna. The sages of Dandakaranya, they had been initiated by Narada Muni into the Gopal mantra, and they were constantly absorbed in the pursuit of their Ishtadevata, their paramour, Brajendanandan Krishna. When they saw Ramchandra in Dandakaranya, they were appreciating that if this expanded form of Godhead is so beautiful and enchanting, then how enchanting our Brajendanandan Krishna must be. So that augmented their anxiety for meeting Krishna. It increased their purvarag for meeting Krishna. And as I mentioned, by the blessings of Ramchandra, they were able to take their birth and directly associate with Brajendanandan Krishna. Our acharyas have pointed out, I hope I don't say anything which makes anybody angry, but nevertheless, I'm going to proceed, and beg for the forgiveness of anyone who might feel unhappy about anything that I'm saying. But I feel that it is important to discuss, since I'm here. If I wasn't here, I wouldn't be discussing it. But somehow or other, by Krishna's arrangement, I'm sitting here. So I'm discussing that our acharyas have made the point, and it's a very important point for us to understand in the matter of cultivating Sambandha Tattva Gyan. What to speak of understanding the principle of prayojan. It is absolutely necessary to cultivate Sambandha Tattva Gyan so that we don't deviate our attention to other objectives in the pursuit of our spiritual perfection. But we should also understand the prayojan siddhi. We should understand what is the goal. Otherwise, what is the use of our pursuit? Abhideya Tattva is for establishing us in the proper, let's say, pursuit of the Siddhanta by the necessary activities of devotional practices. But we have to know what is the goal of all of our practices in order to take inspiration more and more. Srila Prabhupada, in Science of Self-Realization, in his description or his discussion on this Jaiii Radha Madhava song, he is told that the purpose of this International Society for Krishna Consciousness is to give everyone a chance to become Gopi-janas. But of course that is not to say that this International Society for Krishna Consciousness is not meant to facilitate the pursuit of other bhavas, Prabhupada, in the very next paragraph in his discussion, says that this Krishna consciousness movement can enable everyone to become eternal associates of Krishna as father and mother, as friends of Krishna, and as servants of Krishna. So he says this Krishna consciousness movement. So when we discuss, just like sometimes you may have noticed, if I'm sure that most of you have come in contact with a list of our acarya parampara, which will give the manjari siddha deha of each acarya. We should not be disturbed by this if we have any other bhava. But we should understand the purpose in showing this is to encourage those who desire the Madhurya Ras, which is considered analytically as the most intense form of Bhakti Bhavana. By Rupa Goswami himself, after all, we do follow the teachings of Rupa Goswami, so we have to consider these points also, that it is meant to encourage, to say that if you want to enter into the eternal, intimate services of Radha and Krishna, if you want to assist in the Nikunja Sevas, then it is available here. You don't have to go anywhere else. The buck stops here. You can have it here. You can have it by the grace of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. You can have it, at the feet of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. You don't have to go to the Babajis and the various other Nimbarkis and others. Not that we're not deprecating their attachment to their particular path, so much so as we're saying that when you have everything at your disposal, why think that the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, like a horse or a cow? Everything is here. Prabhupada has given everything. So it is important to understand that, as I was beginning to discuss, unfortunately we don't have much time, but our acharyas have made this point. Our acharya particularly means Srila Prabhupada has made this point, reiterating the statements of our predecessor acharyas, that Swayam Rup Krishna, the lover of Radharani, the friend of Subal, the darling son of Nanda Yasoda, this Swayam Rup Krishna, he is the only 100%, absolutely complete personality of Godhead. All other expansions, even up to the Swayam Prakash manifestations, who danced with the other gopis in Maharas. In Krishna Bhavanamrita, it is described that there are two different things which happen during Maharas. Sometimes, or during Ras Lila, sometimes Krishna expands his Swayam Prakash manifestations to stand by the side of each gopi. And each gopi is thinking that she is with Krishna alone. Of course, she is not seeing that Krishna is standing, the Swayam Rup Krishna is standing with Radhika. They don't see. Rather, those who are in the, let's say, competitor camps, they would prefer not to think that Radhika is the cause of their success. At least sometimes they acknowledge, but most of the time they have a different mood. They want to think of at least their sakhis want to think of their individual group leaders' personal qualifications. But in any case, sometimes Krishna expands, and sometimes he's going like a firebrand, dancing so quickly in the midst of the gopis that no one can understand when he's coming and when he's leaving their company. So, in these instances, this is usually an occurrence in the more intimate rasa leelas, where where Radha is making the arrangements for all of her sakhis to associate with her Swayamrup Krishna and get the experience of Swayamrup Krishna. So in any case, Srila Prabhupada is mentioned like this, and our charges, particularly Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he advocates that therefore, because the other manifestations up to the Swayam Prakash manifestations, as we've explained, which danced with the gopis separately, they have only up to 93% of the completeness of the beauty and sweetness of Swayamrup Krishna. Therefore, our charges, they advocate that we should focus our attention on the service of Radha Krishna. Because that Krishna who is with Radharani is the 100% personality of God. So, if we take heed, just like Subal, it is mentioned, of course we understand that all the rasas in Braja are meant to enhance Radha and Krishna's Madhurya Leelas in the realm of Braja. They are all meant to, in various ways, increase the experience of Vipralamba in the heart of Radha and Krishna, and in the heart of their devotees also. Our Siddhanta, our philosophy, is in pursuit of Vipralambamayi Radha Krishna Leela. This is the prerogative of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. The Nimbarka Sampradaya also preach Radha Krishna Bhakti, but their Radha Krishna is Sambhogmayi. They prefer to worship Radha Krishna in Swakya Ras, but we prefer to worship Radha Krishna in the Parakya Ras. And without getting into too much detailed discussion, as it's almost 9 o'clock already, and I was told that I should at least stop before 12, so we cannot discuss at length. But it should be noted that this Vipralambamayi Radha Krishna Leela is the topmost aspect of Radha Krishna Leela. I was speaking with one Nimbarki, one Nimbarkacharya, who was telling me that what is the use of Vipralamba? Because the Ananda experienced in the dealings of Radha and Krishna in the Nitya Nikunj Bihar, which is the goal of the Nimbarkis, they want to go to a realm where there is no question of Vipralamba. They say that Vipralamba is Pratikula. Pratikula means it is against the pleasure of Radha and Krishna. That they're not happy with the Vipralamba. So therefore, why, let's say, impede their happiness? Why, let's say, create, let's say, distress in their heart? So this can be likened to the immature disciple who is unable to understand the chastisement of his guru. Because the disciple is not able to understand the chastisement of his guru, he doesn't understand that the chastisement is for increasing the intensity of his adhikar, to serve Radha and Krishna on a higher and higher platform of perfection. So, in the Nimbark philosophy, their goal is to enter into a realm where there is no Mother Yasoda, there is no Ananda Baba, there is no Subal, there's no Mother Mangala, there are no cows even. Although it's on the Golok planet, there are no cows. There is a realm for them. But there may be peacocks and some parrots and some trees and creepers and things like that, which will not, let's say, distract Krishna from his association with Radha and her Sakhis. There's no Chandravali. There are no competitors. There's only Radha, Krishna, and Radharani's Sakhis and maidservants. You know? And that is called Nitya Nikunj. In that realm, there is only what is called Sambhog Ras. There's no Vipralambha Ras. And the attitude is of Swakya. Krishna is eternally associated, you know, in the mood of being, of belonging to each other. Swakya means one's own, belonging to oneself. So, but this can be understood that because he was saying, this Nimbarkacharya was telling me, that what is the need of Vipralambha, because in the Nitya Nikunj, the Ananda is eternally ever increasing anyway. So what is the need for Vipralambha to increase the intensity of the Ananda? Which sounds like a very good question, but our answer is that there is eternally ever increasing, there's more eternally ever increasing, and there's most eternally ever increasing. So in this way, we can understand the contribution of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was directly Krishna himself, came to relish the topmost aspect of Radharani's Vipralambha-mayi, let's say, experiences. Radharani certainly has other, even in the Golok planet, on the Golok planet, there's the realm of Braja, which is the most extensive realm, but there are other sectors as well, where there's this Nitya Nikunj Bihar going on. There's the realm of, there are different Sweta Dweeps also. The realm of Dwarka is there, and the realm of Mathura, Dwarka, and outside the realm of Dwarka, on the perimeters of the Golok planet, is what is called as Golok Vrindavan or Vaikuntha Vrindavan, where Radha and Krishna is worshipped in majesty, awe and reverence, as we do in our, you can say, beginning stages. Those who don't go beyond the worship of Radha and Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan, they will attain this realm of Vaikuntha Vrindavan on the Golok Vrindavan planet, where the reverential worship or majestic worship of Krishna is going on. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has told, don't mind me saying, but if we've not gone that far, then we should understand that we have not so much to be so proud about in the matter of our progress in devotional life. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that even if one is residing in this Braja Bhumi, even if he is doing the Radha Krishna worship, worshipping the Radha Krishna Vigraha in the land of Braja Bhumi, but if he is doing so without his Siddhadeha, then he will not attain Braja. Rather, he will attain the maid service of Rukmini in Dwarka, or he will enter into the realm of Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha meaning Vaikuntha Vrindavan. But he will not be able to enter into the realm of mind you, I'm not purposely preaching rag bhajan, but we should understand that in due course of time, as our enchantment for the, let's say, sweetness of Krishna Leela, as is being discussed here by Srila Prabhupada's grace, this enchantment will gradually cause us to inquire more and more deeply into the tattvas and into the actual need and the actual necessary prayojan, the process by which one can actually enter into the realm, which is the goal of the Gaudiyas. For the most part, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas aspire to Brajalila. And to enter into Brajalila, if anyone has read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can know it very well that by cultivating the Vaidhi Bhakti alone, without enhancing his inner heart's desires and appreciation for the attitude of loving service in their feelings of separation from Krishna, of the Brajvasis, primarily the Braja Gopis, that if we will not allow ourselves to appreciate and try to catch up this mood, which is nothing but the very mood of unalloyed devotion that Srila Prabhupada wants every one of us to have. Srila Prabhupada wants to give us all these things. No doubt. We have to upgrade our adhikar for having access to the things. When we will upgrade our adhikar, then with our own eyes, we will see everything in the Bhaktivedanta purports. It's a question of our adhikar. Everything is there. Just like here in this purport, if you will recall, Srila Prabhupada's mentioning how the gopis are crying and crying on account of thinking of the worst. How Krishna's soft, delicate lotus feet, which they dare to even place on their hard breast, let's say hardened breast. Breasts are hard because there's the deep feelings of, let's say, transcendental amorous love for Krishna. But they dare to place his soft lotus feet on their breast. But so they're thinking that how is it possible that he could consider, in reality, even though let's say we fear that his feet may be discomforted by placing them there, but it could not be nearly as let's say painful for him as his traversing the forest path in our separation. To be real, we should understand that in Bhagavatam, this line where they're expressing that how his soft lotus feet must be pricked by the sharp thorns and the pebbles on the Braja footpaths. But we should know, first of all, Krishna has explained in Bhavanamrita also that the chamari deer, with their big tails, they are always sweeping the paths for the pleasure of Krishna. There's no question of sharp stones and thorns and brambles on the forest path. Furthermore, you never hear the gopis complaining or expressing intense pain of the prospect of Krishna's feet being pricked on the forest paths when he's with them, wandering through the forest. You never see that. So it should be understood that such an expression is an expression of their intense vipralambha. It's an expression of their intense feelings of separation from Krishna. That my dear Krishna, because remember, this expression was given, it was told at the time when Krishna had disappeared from their midst. And they're praying and begging Krishna again and again in various ways of supplication to please again kindly condescend to make your appearance in our midst. Not because we want to gratify ourselves in your company, because our hearts are pained. You think that what they're really trying to say is that you think that your feet are pricked here and there, but you should think of how our hearts are pained. And actually, Krishna is thinking of how their hearts are pained. That's why he makes his reappearance in their midst. He's not reappearing in their midst for his self-gratifications, but he's reappearing as a reciprocation on the basis of a mutual desire to let's say, selflessly satisfy each other. And that is the meaning of unalloyed devotion. That is the meaning of Braja Bhakti. Braja Bhakti, just like, to give an example of the distinction of two different realms. In Dwarka, Rukmini Devi, she is sleeping with Krishna. No doubt. You can read about it. I don't know if I've ever discussed this publicly or not, but you can read about it in the chapter in Krishna book, Krishna's daily pastimes, daily activities. So the cock crows, and Rukmini is condemning the cock, saying, "Oh, why does the night have to end?" And Krishna is getting up from the bed, releasing himself from Rukmini's embrace, and he's going about his daily activities, meditating on himself, and then entering into the Sudharma assembly house. He, let's say, all the expansions of Krishna merge into one to enter into the assembly house. So we should understand that what is the cause of the expression of Rukmini? Rukmini, she has, let's say, the desire to satisfy her own, let's say, she has desires for self-satisfaction mixed into her desires for pleasing Krishna. It is mentioned by our acharyas that approximately 50-50 are the desires of the queens of Dwarka for satisfying themselves and satisfying Krishna. Because there's a mixture of the desire to see her husband, Krishna condescends to satisfy her desires by sleeping with her as her husband. And when she's hearing the cock crow, it will be the disgust which is expressed will also be in terms, to a large extent, it will be in terms of her feelings of distress on account of her self-satisfactions being interrupted. So Krishna condescends to fulfill her desires. But look at the difference between this example and the example of Srimati Radharani. Radharani also sleeps with Krishna in Parakiras. But she has no desire to sleep with Krishna. She has no desire to see Krishna for her self-gratifying purposes, or for her self-satisfaction. But rather, also is mentioned how the cock is crowing when Radha and Krishna are at Nidhivan in the Nishant Leela. Radha and Krishna are together in their embrace, and the cock is crowing, and Radharani is telling them to go and coo in hell. You see? Rukmini was telling them to go to hell also, and Radharani is telling them to go to hell. But her purposes in telling them to go to hell and Rukmini's purposes are different. Her purposes in telling them to go to hell is that why are you interrupting Krishna's pleasure in meeting with me? She has no desire to sleep with Krishna. But Krishna has a desire to sleep with her, and she condescends to fulfill Krishna's desire. It is quite different. It's looking the same. Just like Srila Prabhupada has made the point in one purport. He says that it's not what we do, but it's the attitude with which we do whatever we're doing. Just like Kubja is also. She also sports with Krishna. But her mood is what is called kama-praya. Her mood is the mood which is nearly, let's say, verging on mundane lust. It is similar to the gopis' prema, but it is merely verging on mundane lust. Kubja is considered to be the personification of the Purusha Shakti of Krishna. That Purusha Shakti of Krishna acts in this material world to, cause every jiva to experience this Purusha Bhav. So, in the purport, incidentally it is mentioned there how Prabhupada mentions how it is that because Kubja was asking Krishna, please to remain with her, not to leave immediately. Remain for some time and enjoy with her. Krishna politely pointed out to her that it would not be possible. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions how it is that because Krishna's mundane realm, or so-called mundane realm of this material cosmos, it is vyakta and avyakta. So it is having its manifestation and dissolution. So it is not possible for him to remain in this material world, indicating that this Purusha Shakti of Krishna, just like the Mahamaya Shakti, is only manifested within this material realm. So similarly, this Purusha Shakti is a Shakti which is active in the material realm only. So as such, Kubja will be able to meet with Krishna intermittently when there is the manifestation of the cosmos during the Prakrita Leelas of Krishna on the earthly planet. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that a devotee, especially those who are desirous of, the conjugal ras with Krishna. Those who are desirous of the conjugal ras of Krishna, but he said devotees, especially them, so it means all devotees, actually, that it does not do very well for them to think in terms of being the enjoyer of Krishna. Because actually Krishna is the enjoyer. To the extent we realize that, to the extent that we give up the, self-centeredness, to that extent we qualify ourselves to enter into the topmost realm of Braja and experience the topmost bliss, the topmost happiness of rendering, ever-increasing, self-giving, selfless means that we have no interest for ourselves. But rather, we only desire the happiness of Krishna. This principle has to be understood. Without understanding this principle, then how it is that we can, enter into the more esoteric principles in terms of the, the details of Braja Bhakti by following in the footsteps of any particular associate of Krishna whom we choose by our own heart's, inclination to follow. But we have to understand at least the basics. Just like sometimes it is said, some devotees or some Vaishnavas here in Braja, they want to say that actually Srila Prabhupada preached the mood of Prahlad. But it may look like that. Sometimes it is seen that that Prabhupada and even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Toda Gopinath, when he was hearing from Gadadhar Pandit Bhagavat, it is also seen that he was relishing this Prahlad Shiksha and the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj, etc. It is seen, but we have to see what is the Antarabhavana. How Mahaprabhu, he was not relishing in the mood of Prahlad in actuality, but he was taking this shiksha and applying it to his own, to augment his own relish of let's say, approach to Krishna. Mahaprabhu had his typo. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada also has his typo, or his constant flow of ecstasy. When it is seen that he is advocating or, let's say, giving stress to Prahlad Shiksha, what he really wants to say is that if you cannot see the principle of compassion, because the Babajis in particular, many of them, I don't want to overgeneralize because that sometimes is a mistake. Because Prabhupada is mentioned, just like he is told to Mother Daivi Shakti, I guess she's left, but that these Babas at Bhagavat Nivas, just a few minutes down the road, where it is said by many authorities in Braja that Raghunath Das Goswami's Govardhan Shila is situated there. That these, Prabhupada said that these Babajis are bona fide Akinchana Babajis. They should be respected as bona fide Akinchana Babajis. So there are bona fide Akinchana Babajis in Braja. But many of these Babajis, they decry preaching. They're so much bent on preaching about not preaching. To the point where they will say that we are, let's say, we advocate, we're interested in Gopi Prema, and therefore we're only interested in let's say, cultivating the Rag Bhajan, and we have no interest in this preaching business, which is in the mood of Prahlad. But I dare say to all of them who will be thinking like this, that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and our Srila Prabhupada, they have made this point it's a very sanguine point and very important point, that if you cannot see the principle and appreciate the principle of compassion as it is exhibited in an elementary form as Prahlad, then how can we accept that you're actually seeing the principle of compassion as it is truly manifested in its superlative form in the gopis? How can we accept this? First things first. First understand A, B, C, D. Then when you actually understand that, then you graduate to the upper class. You see? So, Prabhupada has given, let's say, it may be mistaken by some unfortunate personalities that Prabhupada has given Vaidhi Bhakti. Actually, Prabhupada has given the whole thing. But he requires us to gradually upgrade our transcendental intelligence, by which we can enter into relishing the thing as it is. And that requires that we at least at first understand the principle of compassion upon the fallen conditioned souls. After all, it wasn't Prahlad that inaugurated the Sankirtan movement. It was Krishna in the mood of Radha. His external purposes were not separate from the fulfillment of his internal desires to relish Radha Bhav. If we don't understand, if we try to separate the external purpose from the internal purpose, in the purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada is told how it is that Radharani and her Sakhis experience 10 million times the happiness of their own happiness of personally meeting Krishna by making the arrangements for each other to meet, to make arrangements for others to meet with Krishna. This Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is for the purpose of facilitating the experience of that kind of Gopi Bhav. The experience of 10 million times the happiness of their happiness of personally meeting Krishna by making the arrangements for others to meet with Krishna. One time Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to Rameshwar, bless his heart, to confirm that yes, your understanding or your idea that this book distribution is following in the mood of the gopis is quite correct. Because it is, the principle is that what is self-realization? Self-realization means to realize what we actually are. If we can't realize what we actually are, then how are we self-realized? So what are we? What is Jiva? It is mentioned. What is Radha? What is Ladini Shakti? Ladini Shakti is a manifestation. Radha, it is mentioned by Rupa Goswami that Radha is the personification of Krishna's compassionate nature. She is Karunamoy. She is the embodiment of Karuna Shakti, which is non-different from Ladini Shakti. So, as such, this compassionate nature, which is exhibited by Radharani and the expanded forms of Radharani, mind you, Radha is Mool Prakriti. She's the root of all other manifestations of Prakriti. So we have to conclude that ultimately, even though it may be said that some jivas are expanded from Balaram, some jivas are expanded from Krishna, some jivas are expanded from Radha, some jivas are expanded from Shankarshan or Mahavishnu, like this. But we should understand that as Radha is Mool Prakriti, therefore, as Prabhupada has mentioned in several places, that the jiva is part and parcel of the pleasure potency of Krishna. And as such, it is the nature of the jiva to be compassionate. Without understanding the principle of compassion, without realizing ourselves as part and parcel of the compassionate nature of Krishna, then how can we claim to be self-realized? You see? So it is very essential. The elementary form is given to us in the beginning. At least see this to isolate the principle. Because Prahlad, it may not be so easy to understand the principle in the example of the gopis or devotees of the higher nature, the higher realm. Because it is more subtle. But in the nature, in the nature of Prahlad, though, it is a easily isolatable principle which can be easily observed by everyone in order to impress this point. So, therefore, anyway, I'm carrying on. I shouldn't carry on like this. I'm sorry for, I hope I'm not keeping you, but it's already almost 9:30, and everyone will be missing prasadam and all these things. It's Purushottam Mas, so beginning of Purushottam Mas. Anyways, this is an important thing. So what is preaching? Preaching is the expression of the very compassionate nature, which is the essence of Gopi Bhav or Gopa Bhav or any Bhav in the realm of Braja. It's the very essence. So when we say preaching is the essence, it is quite correct. Because preaching is let's say the means and the end of the let's say acquiring and giving a proper expression, to the pure compassionate nature of which is the mainstay of Braja Bhakti. So I guess we should stop there. If there's any discussion or questions, I don't know if you want to go any further with this. Anyone want to discuss anything before we close? I hope I've not disappointed all of you too much. I don't make it a habit of sitting here, so you don't have to hear these things too often. Hare Krishna. Yes, you want to say? Huh?
What is the importance of
that could be a long discussion, but we won't make it too long. If we should, the importance of Purushottam Mas is because Radha and Krishna are the presiding deities of Purushottam Mas. Is to be understood by honoring their month, you attain Golok Dham. In a nutshell.
How to honor?
By intensifying your sadhana. Bathing in Yamuna. Radhakund is also there. Offering ghee lamps daily. It should be a daily vrat to offer ghee lamps. I mentioned yesterday that you get the benefit of offering 10 million ghee lamps by lighting it with a tulsi stick, with a dry tulsi stick, please, from a dead tulsi plant, not using. Don't take a stick from a green a live tulsi plant like that. And doing prikaram. Taking darshan of Govardhan Hill as many times as possible. There's unlimited benefit. It is mentioned, Yesham Puntakatha Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam. Ye Dvandva Moha Nirmukta Bhajante Mam Dridavrata. We should know that our goal is Krishna Prema. As we explained, what is Prema? Prema is for the pleasure of Krishna. To endeavor to satisfy Krishna. So, to satisfy Krishna, there should be some Dridavrata in our bhajan. Dridavrata means a strong determination, a strong vow. Determined vow. Bhajante mam, worshipping me. So, in order to actually worship Krishna, what is a determined vow? Determined vow means that that we will not be deviating. It is only by undivided devotional service that you can understand Krishna as he is. It is only by undivided devotional service. That means, what is it? I forget it. I forget the verse. It's slipping my mind. But Sagunan Samati Taitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. To come to the spiritual platform, one has to do undivided devotional service by which you can actually understand Krishna's janmas and karmas in truth. then you go back home, back to Godhead. So, this undivided devotional service means ye dvandva moha nirmukta. Ye dvandva moha nirmukta means that you will not see that there's no duality. The illusion or the delusion of thinking that something is favorable in one circumstance is favorable for worshipping Krishna and in another circumstance is not favorable for worshipping Krishna. Actually, all circumstances are favorable for worshipping Krishna because the environment is always friendly. Even if it appears to be an adversity, it is also favorable for taking shelter of Krishna and worshipping Krishna. So, one can always worship Krishna in all circumstances with a firm determination when he goes beyond this dualistic conception of happiness and distress as a, let's say, criterion for considering whether it is possible to worship Krishna or not. You see. So one can come to this position of going beyond duality if one is, let's say, freed from yesham tantakatha papam, freed from sinful reactions, and jananam punya karmanam. This punya karmanam means the same punya karmanam, krita punja punya. As we were expressing yesterday, krita punja punya means heaps and piles of pious activities by which one gains the facility of actually playing with Krishna, dancing with Krishna, in his eternal pastimes. You see? So, it is essential, no matter who we are, no matter what is our condition, what is our position, that we can always take advantage of this kind of facility, like Purushottam Vrat or Ekadasi Vrat. Even we were mentioning how a monkey attained Golok Dham, even by unknowingly observing Purushottam, by fasting and taking holy bath. So, if by unknowingly you can attain Golok Dham, it doesn't say which sector of Golok Dham he attained, but you can understand that if by unknowingly you can attain Golok Dham, then what to speak of if we're actually cultivating, the desires to enter into the realm of Braja, or etc. So this Purushottam Vrat, it is good for all. If you're having the guru problems and the let's say steadiness of mind problems, or any such kinds of problems that may be manifesting, we should understand why it is that these problems are coming. It's not happening by chance. Any such problems will be coming because of our previous samskars, our purva samskar, our let's say previous degree of accumulation of sukriti, by which our let's say our transcendental intelligence is gradually increased with birth after birth, jananam punya karmanam, birth after birth. So we're not in our last birth now, and we're not in our future birth now. We're in this birth now, and in this birth now, there are so many things we can do by which we can increase our sukriti. And what is the purpose of increasing our sukriti? There's agyata sukriti, just like the monkey example. He fell into the water accidentally and drowned in the water in a holy place, and he attained Golok because it so happened he did that during Purushottam. You see. So Agyata Sukriti is there, but higher than Agyata Sukriti is Gyata Sukriti. Gyata Sukriti means to accumulate Sukriti by doing transcendentally pious activities knowingly. You know that it's good. No one's stopping you from circumambulating Tulsi Devi. No one's stopping you from watering Tulsi Devi. Tulsi Devi can give you prema. Every dust grain of Vrindavan can give you prema. Govardhan Hill can give you prema. You know? So, but if you don't have tears to offer to Yamuna Devi, then take some water from her and offer. At least your own tears. Her water is undoubtedly liquid prema. But best is if you can offer something from your side. You offer your tears of anxiety. That how will I progress to the ultimate goal of my life? At least crying because we can't cry for Krishna. You know? Watering Tulsi Devi with your tears. Who's doing that? Who's stopping you from doing it? You see? Who's stopping you from crying at the feet of Govardhan? Who's stopping you? You know? So don't bathe in Radhakund. But offer your tears. Who's stopping you? No one's stopping anyone. Who's stopping you from chanting at least 1 lakh nam daily? No one's stopping you. It's a question of the ischa. Krishnendriya Priti ischa. There should be some desire. You know? If you want to go back home, back to Godhead, then why take the difficult course? This is the easy course. If something is being given away practically for free, then why work like a dog? Go and get it. Come to Braja. Just like in the Kartik Mahatmya, it is mentioned, it is recorded in Mathura Mahatmya. Also, the Kartik Mahatmya is recorded in Mathura Mahatmya by Rupa Goswami. He says that Kartik month comes every year. Of course, Purushottam Mas comes every 3 years. But this principle is the same. Kartik month comes every year. And Brajadam is not difficult to attain in this world. It's not like you have to do some interplanetary travel to get here. Especially those who are born in India. You know, but how many people are coming to Braja? You know, it's not so difficult. There are airplanes. Modern amenities have made it so easy. Krishna's statement in the Kartik Mahatmya is even more applicable in this age of Kali. He says, Braja, the Kartik comes every year. Braja is not difficult to attain in this world. Still, the fools rot in the world of birth and death because they don't come to Braja during Kartik. Similarly, they don't come to Braja during... Why? Why not come? Why not do Purushottam Vrat? It is a very simple thing. Who's stopping anyone from coming and offering a lamp to the deity? If the old folks are doing it, you think that they don't know what they're doing? You know, but we're too embarrassed or something? You know? Somehow we think that, I can't, everyone will be looking at me. Thinking that I'm trying to show myself to be such a bhakta, you know, or something stupid like this, you know. If you know what's good for you, do it, you know, and pray to Krishna, you know, to please be merciful to me and take me to your